Captive Dove by Anne Bront. Poor restless dove, I pity thee, and when I hear thy plaintive moan, I mourn for thy captivity, and in thy woes forget mine own. To see thee stand prepared to fly, and flap those useless wings of thine, and gaze into the distant sky, would melt a harder heart than mine. In vain, thou canst not rise. Thy prison roof confines thee there, its slender wires delude thine eyes, and quench thy longings with despair. O thou wert made to wander free, in sunny mead and shady grove, and, far beyond the rolling sea, in distant climes at will to rove. Yet hadst thou but one gentle mate, thy drooping heart to cheer, and share with the captive state, thou couldst be happy even there. Yes, even there, if, by listening by, one faithful dear companion stood, while gazing on her full bright eye, thou mightst forget thy native wood. But thou, poor solitary dove, must make, unheard, thy joyless moan. The heart, that nature formed to love, must pine, neglected and alone. The speaker in this poem is the author Anne Bront. The situation that the poem presents is the speaker of the poem observing a caged bird, and watching it is helping the speaker to realize that her problems are insignificant in comparison to being trapped in the cage when all the dove wants is freedom. The speaker is watching the poor restless dove, trapped in the cage. There is a lot of imagery used in this poem. An example of visual imagery in this poem is in The Restless Dove, in the first line, which gives an image of a dove flying around the cage desperately trying to find a way out. Another example of visual imagery is in line 5, To see thee stand prepared to fly, which pictures a dove standing up, perhaps on a perch, maybe flapping its wings tentatively, ready to make a journey it knows it can't. Also, in line 23, the visual of her full bright eye shows the bright hope that still lingers in the dove's eyes. In lines 10 and 11, there is a visual description of thy prison roof confines thee there, its slender wires delude thine eyes, which shows the cage depicted as a prison, showing the stereotypical thin, weird bird cage. There is an example of auditory imagery in the second line, and when I hear thy plaintive moan, giving the sound of a tired and sad moan. The tone of the poem is sort of sad and longing, the feeling of pity towards the dove, and the feeling of sadness over its captivity. For example, in lines 1, 3, 4, 6, 9, and 12, using words such as pity thee, mourn for thy captivity, thy woes, those useless wings of thine, in vain thou canst rise, thy longings with despair. The rhyme scheme of the poem is A-B, A-B pattern that really helps it flow, giving it a melodic sound. In the first 4 stanzas of the poem, the first line of each has an alliteration. In line 1, poor and pity. In line 5, see and stand, and so on. The poem could be considered to have a figurative dove, which could represent the speaker's own troubles and own problems, trying to burst out of the cage, or the speaker to be let out, for the speaker to actually face her own troubles.